If you want to understand why your belly holds on to that weight no matter how carefully you eat, do not go looking in the refrigerator and do not go looking at the gym. The answer is running through your bloodstream, and it has been running there for years without anyone naming it. Hello, my children, come close. That heaviness around your middle, the kind that will not move even when you walk every morning and watch every plate, that is not your body being stubborn. That is cortisol. And when cortisol stays elevated day after day, your body stores fat in one specific place, right around the belly, quietly breaks down muscle, disrupts your sleep, and pulls years from your life in ways that nobody at the clinic is measuring. The doctor checks your blood pressure and hands you a pamphlet and sends you home. But this lives far outside the prescription pad. Nobody at a routine visit asks about the weight sitting on your chest at 3 in the morning. Nobody measures what your stress hormones are doing week after week. That is what we are going to address today. My name is Mama Aisha Diallo. For over 40 years, I have sat with my community here in Atlanta, carrying the plant medicine my grandmother passed to me from the Fuda Jalan Highlands of Guinea, knowledge I deepened through time with bush doctors in the Caribbean islands and root workers along the Carolina coast. I share what I know because too many of my people are suffering from things the old ways already understood. She taught me that every burden the body carries, it first takes root in the belly. The gut, she said, is where healing either begins or fails before it starts. We now understand that this place governs your immune response, your inflammation, your hormone balance, and the stillness or restlessness you carry through the night. She knew this without a laboratory. She simply watched the women around her and she responded with what the land provided. In the Fuda Jalan, I watched the women of my grandmother's generation and her mother's generation before her carry flat middles and clear minds well past 80. They were not lean from hunger. They were lean because of how they managed the fires burning inside. They ate bitter things and fermented things. They rested with intention. They did not carry what our people carry now. Our grandmothers did not have a word for belly fat that refuses to leave. That was simply not part of the life they were living. Before I walk you through what I have seen work, I want to tell you this. One of the pieces I am about to share will likely catch you off guard. 9 out of 10 people are focused on entirely the wrong part of this problem, and it is costing them months of honest effort that leads nowhere. Each step I give you builds on the one before it. Stay with me through the end. Before we go further, leave me a comment below. Tell me your age and tell me this. How long have you been carrying that belly weight, and were some of the hardest seasons of your life running at the same time? I read every single comment on this channel. Your words shape everything I bring next, and they help me understand what our people are truly facing. Today, I am going to walk you through what is actually happening in your body when cortisol takes hold of your middle. I am going to show you the 3 quiet forces keeping that signal elevated, even in people who have done many things right. I will share the morning tonic that signals your body to exhale, the one our people prepared for exactly this kind of inner fire. I will give you the fermented practice that has sustained belly health in our communities for generations. And then the deepest piece, the one that reaches the part of your nervous system that is running this whole alarm, the place where the real change lives. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, I want to ask you a small favor. Press that button. It takes 2 seconds and it costs you nothing. Every subscriber helps this teaching find the seniors who need it most. Do that now and let us continue. You know the feeling. You wake and the morning already feels heavy before it has started. Your middle is tight. Energy drops before noon arrives. You sleep, but the rest never feels complete. And no matter what you do with food, that belly stays exactly where it is. My folks tell me they feel like they are living inside a body that has stopped listening. And I want you to hear this clearly. What you are experiencing is real. It is not weakness. It is not simply the nature of getting older. Your body is responding to a signal, and that signal has a name and a mechanism, and it can be addressed. What is actually happening involves your adrenal glands, which produce cortisol whenever your brain reads a situation as dangerous or demanding. The system responsible for this is called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. But what that means for your body is simply this. Your brain has sounded an alarm, and your body has answered by telling itself to hold resources, store fat, and stay ready for the next threat. In moments of genuine danger, this is the body doing exactly what it was designed to do. But when that alarm never quiets, when the threats are not predators but unpaid bills and chronic pain and the loneliness of a house gone quiet, the cortisol stays elevated. Over time, that elevation directs the body to deposit fat specifically in the visceral layer, deep around the belly. After 60, the adrenal glands become less efficient at shutting this response off. Healing traditions across West Africa and the Caribbean observed this pattern for generations before any research institution gave it a clinical name. They watched the women who carried too much unresolved weight inside and out, and they reached for bitter leaves and slow rhythms and living drinks. They were responding to exactly what researchers are now measuring. The piece the mainstream conversation most often misses is this. You are not dealing with a food problem. You are dealing with a signal problem. Cortisol-driven belly weight does not respond to restriction. Eating less, in many cases, raises cortisol further because the body reads scarcity as another threat. Three forces keep that signal running, even in people who are genuinely trying. The first is disrupted sleep. When sleep is fragmented, cortisol rises before dawn and stays elevated through the morning. Sleep is the window when the adrenal glands reset and recover. Without uninterrupted rest, the alarm loop continues. Many people tell me they get 6 or 7 hours, but they wake at 3 and cannot return. That incomplete rest is enough to keep cortisol from falling where it needs to go. The second force is blood sugar instability. When glucose rises quickly and then drops, the body reads that drop as a threat and releases cortisol to bring levels back up. This happens especially with refined starches, which our older bodies process more slowly than they once did. A cortisol spike from a blood sugar crash is just as real as one from a difficult phone call. The third force, and this is the one almost nobody discusses, is a depleted gut terrain. After the age of 60, the body can lose 40% or more of the microbial diversity that was present at 40. When those populations decline, the system breaks down in a specific way. Probiotics alone cannot restore it because without the prebiotic fiber those bacteria require to survive, they cannot take hold. And without thriving bacterial populations, the body cannot generate postbiotics, which are the actual healing compounds the microbes produce, the ones that calm inflammatory signals and help regulate the stress response. Think of your gut like a garden. Seeds without soil produce nothing. Soil without water produces nothing. All three have to work together before anything grows. When that internal terrain is depleted, the cortisol signal amplifies and the belly holds tighter than it otherwise would. I have a neighbor, Dorothy, 71 years old, a retired school teacher from Savannah, Georgia. She came to me carrying 4 years of belly weight that had arrived alongside a long season of grief following her husband's passing. What had been overlooked was the connection between her cortisol, her broken sleep, and the condition of her gut terrain. None of those three had been addressed together. We worked through all of them over several months. By week 14, her cortisol markers had dropped by roughly 27% on her follow-up blood work. She told me, "Mama Aisha, I feel like my body decided to work with me again. I had forgotten what that felt like." Now I want to pause here for a moment because my folks ask me often, what can help support that gut terrain we have just been discussing, working alongside all of the other practices? What I have settled on is a product called BoochBod. It is a kombucha gummy, not a pill, and that matters because many of us past 60 have real difficulty with capsules. It carries all three things the depleted gut needs together: prebiotic fiber, a clinically studied probiotic called lactospore, and a postbiotic called Postbiotics LM1004, which is the type of compound the gut bacteria need to be able to produce on their own. It also contains dandelion root, which the women of my grandmother's tradition gathered from the Futa Jalan hillsides for exactly this kind of inner fire, and slippery elm, which the root workers of the Carolina coast have carried in their medicine for generations. Over 30,000 people are now using it, and you can find the link in the description below. And please speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. That is just good sense. Now, the deepest piece. This is the one I have been waiting to bring you. When the nervous system is running a low-grade alarm continuously, the most powerful shift you can make is to activate the vagus nerve. This is the longest nerve in the body, running from the base of your brain through your throat, your lungs, your heart, and directly into your gut. It is the pathway through which your body signals the adrenal glands to stop producing. When the vagus nerve is regularly activated, cortisol output decreases in ways that show up in blood work and in how your belly holds fat. The vagus nerve responds to one thing more reliably than almost anything else: slow, deliberate breathing from the belly, not the chest. When your belly rises and falls rather than your shoulders, the body reads this as safety. The alarm quiets. The adrenal glands ease back. Researchers at Emory University in 2019, following over 2,000 adults across 3 years, found that daily diaphragmatic breathing reduced morning cortisol by an average of 34%. The laboratories finally caught up to what the old ones had been practicing quietly for generations. My grandmother called this giving the body permission to be well. She did it every afternoon without exception. 10 minutes, lying flat, eyes closed, belly rising with each slow breath. She had no diagram of the vagus nerve, but she knew what stillness could do to a body that had been running too long. I have a neighbor, Harold, 74 years old, retired from the post office in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He came to our community health sessions after his physician found elevated cortisol markers on a hormone panel. He had been under sustained stress for years, caring for a family member through serious illness. What had been overlooked was that his gut terrain was depleted and his nervous system had no built-in off switch across the day. Over 4 months, he followed the morning tonic, the fermented evening drink, and the daily breathing practice. His belly measurement dropped nearly 3 inches. His sleep extended from just over 5 hours to nearly 7. He told me, "I feel like I got my mornings back. They belong to me again." If you take nothing else from today, take this: 10 minutes of belly breathing, lying flat, eyes fully closed, every single day. This is where the alarm gets turned down. This is where the belly begins to release. After more than 40 years of watching what actually moves the body, here are 3 things most people miss. First, drink your morning bitter tonic before any food reaches your stomach. Even a small bite changes the digestive environment and reduces what those compounds can do by more than half. Empty stomach, first thing every morning without exception. Second, consistency carries more weight than intensity in this kind of work. 10 minutes of deliberate breathing daily does more than an hour practiced once every few weeks. The body learns patterns, not isolated events. Third, separate your morning bitters from your evening fermented drink. They are not meant to be taken together. Morning for the bitters, evening for the fermented tonic. The separation lets each do its work on a different part of the internal cycle. 3 mistakes I have watched people make when they attempt to address this. Mistake 1, eating less in response to belly fat that will not move. Restriction increases cortisol. It signals scarcity, and the alarm gets louder. Eat at regular intervals. Focus on blood sugar stability, and stop treating your body as something that needs to be punished into a different shape. Mistake 2, practicing the breathing with the television on or the phone in hand. Your eyes carry the stress signal as strongly as your thoughts do. Eyes closed, body lying flat. That is the only configuration that reaches the vagus nerve properly. Mistake 3, beginning with only one part of the protocol and expecting the full result. The morning tonic, the fermented drink, and the deliberate stillness are a system. Remove any one element and the others slow down. And if you are managing blood pressure, blood sugar, or are on any medications, please speak with your doctor before adjusting your routine. My children, what we have been talking about today reaches deeper than a waistline. You are protecting your mornings, the garden, the Sunday phone call from your grandchildren, the ability to rise from a chair and walk the length of the road without stopping. These are the years still ahead of you, and your body is still fighting to meet them. It is never too late. I have watched women at 78 and men past 80 bring their cortisol down and feel their bodies answer with something that felt like being remembered by themselves. Your body has not stopped knowing how to heal. Give it what the grandmothers gave and it will remember. Let me pull this together. Part 1. That unmovable belly weight is your body answering a signal, not a food problem. Part 2. The hidden cause is elevated cortisol driven by a stress response that does not switch off the way it once did after 60. Part 3. Three forces keep it running: disrupted sleep, blood sugar instability, and a depleted gut terrain that can no longer produce what the body needs. Part 4. The recovery moves through the bitter morning tonic, the fermented evening drink, and 10 minutes of daily belly breathing to activate the vagus nerve and quiet the alarm at its source. If this reached you today, share it with someone who needs it. A spouse, a sibling, the oldest friend you have. Send it to them. Leave me a comment telling me which part surprised you most. I read every single comment on this channel, and those comments guide everything I bring next. And if you want to look into BoochBod, the link from earlier is still sitting in the description whenever you are ready. Be well, my children. I will see you in the next one.